Hello, hello. It's Kurt on the Kurt Yazages Show, and I wanted to jump into a few topics today. What we're going to really dive into here is a free flow of a few different concepts around the idea of sales. I'm actually, when this video comes out, been out of the country probably for several weeks at this point, traveling with my family, but I did want to leave some ideas and some new concepts, and specifically, I want to jump into objections, more importantly, resistance on selling, because I think where there's a disconnect when it comes to selling is in that arena. You have prospects coming in, but you're not closing the deal. Like, what is preventing you from getting the deal done? In general, it's all about how you're framing your conversation and how you're pitching the prospect, because the majority of the time, you should be getting the sale, especially if they're qualified, which we'll talk about. If they're qualified and you know they're the right person for the product, it really is your duty to execute the sale and get them signed, get them on board, get them committed.
Don't forget to say yeah, 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 yeah.
And anytime you leave money on the table there and don't actually close the deal, you're basically doing your prospecting client a disservice. So I'm excited about the topic. I'm excited about the content I'm gonna throw out here. And I really hope it's gonna be valuable, because it certainly has been in my career and what I share with my team and how we go about doing things. So stay tuned. So let's talk about dealing with a prospect. So I want to start off by first stating that I'm going to jump first into inbound leads. So inbound prospects. I know in a lot of this presentation, I've been talking about in the past videos recently, I've been talking about cold leads, cold calling, and outbound presentations. And we'll talk about that too, because a lot of the concepts that I'm going to share are going to translate over. But on this free flow, I want to talk about inbound leads. An inbound lead is someone who comes to you. There's someone who expressed interest in your product or service. There's someone who has responded to your angle and actually inquired in about your product. So that person, whether it's through marketing or if you're in car sales, for example, walking into the dealership, by all means, they're interested, right? They're actually looking at your product or service as a solution for whatever it is that they're looking for, especially if they physically have gone and drove out to a dealership. They're gonna want to probably buy a car. Like, I wouldn't go somewhere physically unless I was really, really committed to the process. So inbound leads, they're important, they're valuable, but are they always the qualified ones? Well, not always. Sometimes, based on your company's marketing, you might get inbound leads that are not worth your time, and you got to be good at qualifying. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Qualification is really critical early on. You don't want to see a conversation last more than 10, 15 minutes, sometimes even just 5 minutes, without realizing that this person has no money. Like, that's just not going to make sense to talk to them. You really need to make sure you're qualifying your lead, and you do that by asking questions, getting comfortable asking those uncomfortable questions that find out if they have financing in order, if they actually can afford your service, if they're gonna freak out when you tell them it's X amount of dollars. So qualifying is critical. You have to qualify early on, and you have to make sure that they're qualified in the process. But once you've qualified the lead, now it's really on your terms to find the pain, present the service, and fill that gap, and really get them to realize the value of what you're going to offer. And that comes down to being a great salesman. It comes down to being very resourceful at finding out what it is that they're really struggling with and helping speak in their language. That's another big piece of this. Speaking in their language, communicating on their terms, having yourself adjust to how they understand and how they talk so you can kind of match and mirror their style so they can really see what's valuable. For one customer, if you're selling a car, the air conditioning unit might be the most important feature that they're looking for. And the most important benefit for them is really fast cooling in the car, especially if you're in a hot place like Texas, for example, in Austin, where it's 100 degrees every day. Like, you want a car with a good air conditioner. Like, that's important. So whatever that feature is, that benefit, it's really important for you as a salesperson to identify that. You're looking to find the most important things to harp on so you can really drill down and get into those valuable points when you're presenting. So find out, qualify, then figure out what the biggest thing is and mirror and match their style with the rapport you have to really drill down and showcase your product in a way where it actually matches their style. So that's really critical. In our case, we do a lot of marketing with real estate agents. So we're looking for the gap in their marketing, in their current marketing. We're looking to see how can we fit this in. Do they have great exposure? Okay, well, if they don't, boom, we've got a huge solution we can provide for them by putting them on the biggest platforms where the consumers are most prevalent all at once. Do they have leads coming in? Okay, they do. All right, where are they coming from? Oh, they're not getting anything from social media. Great, there's a huge gap there. We can fill that need. We do fill that need. Is the quality of their lead an issue? So you're probing and finding out. Like, you want to think of yourself as the customer's advocate, right? You're there to help them figure out what their problem is that they may not even know. Help them understand that problem, solve that problem with them, and teach them. That's really how you're going to be the best salesperson, in my experience, coming from my style. You're looking to find their problems, frame up your solutions and what you offer to them in a way that really helps them, and sell in that way. And you do that because you're qualifying them.
Unstoppable.
The other piece of the puzzle is you really need to focus on the quality of your product, right? How does your solution fit? It's really the quality of the solution when you think about it, right? The product itself is one thing, but how you fit into this client or potential client's need is the quality of your solution. So if you're able to show them, oh my God, why are you not doing this? Like, this is something you should have been doing 3 years ago. Or, in our case right now, like, it's August 2018. The real estate market has really softened recently in the last couple of months. A lot of agents are pulling marketing. It's like, okay, so your sales are down and you're actually reducing what generates sales? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? Are we talking logically here, or are we responding emotionally to something that's not really necessarily the right rational decision to make, especially as a business owner? So, and you can speak to stories as well. Like, for us as a business, we've had a rough couple of months recently, and we're still hiring. We're still growing. Like, we're not going to stop moving our ship forward just because we've hit a few speed bumps. Like, our strategy stays the same. Like, things don't change that much. Yes, they change, but like, in a nutshell, we're still operating in the same economy. We're still operating in the same marketplace. And as a salesperson, your product or service is roughly the same, unless there's been drastic disruption in your industry. So approach sales from that perspective. Really believe in your product, believe in your service, believe in the marketplace, trust in yourself, and believe in that. Because what you offer these clients, especially the people walking up to you or raising their hand, inquiring online, inbounding, they're interested. They legitimately have asked for information. They're looking for help. Like, those people, they need you to close them. They need you to help them understand why it's safe and good and the right decision to buy right now. And you do that through the communication, through the way you bridge those gaps, through the way you fit your product and your presentation into the service. So when you get to the point of objection or to the point of thinking about it, like, you thought about this when you inquired in, what difference is it going to make now? We've really gone over a lot of the reasons why I mean, is there anything else that you would think about in the next week or two that's really going to change what's going on? Oh, you want to know about this? Which brings me to another point. And I know this is a wild rant, so just go with it.
Unstoppable.
Because I'm traveling, I just didn't have time to really structure things, but you can take a lot of bits from this and use it how you want. But if they're thinking about the product and then they're going, well, I'm going to actually talk to these other people, most of the time you can proactively deal with that. So for example, when you're presenting your product, you know what the competition is. I used to pepper in the competition all the time. I would actually bring it up, like bring up those points, like bring up what other people are doing if it's obvious. Not necessarily if it's not obvious, but if it's obvious that Chevys are doing this and Subarus are doing this, and this is a huge advantage and you're selling a Subaru, bring up what the Chevy does that the Subaru does much better. Like proactively go out there and be your customer's advocate, be their marketing person they can trust. And you're speaking as an advocate, not only to the customer, but to your product team. Because as a sales professional in your company, your job is to serve your customers and drive revenue for your company. So you're really bridging the gap two ways, both getting customer feedback and also feeding that back to the company product team so they can innovate, they can improve the product, they can adjust it. And that's the beauty of sales. You're kind of all over the place and you get to be everywhere. You get to be all over it, and you also get to interact with the customers, which is one of the greatest joys you can have.
Yeah, it means a lot.
So we covered a lot here in this random kind of riff, and really what I want to do is bring it back. The main ideas that I'm talking about here, which I've talked about before in other videos, is qualifying. Even on an inbound person that comes in, now you need to qualify, are they ready to buy? Are they going to waste your time, or are they actually seriously looking to buy? So you can either spend your time presenting and really handling the objections and the concerns and the complaints and really help them as an advocate to realize why this product is the best fit for their need, or you move on to generating new business. Because if you're not talking to a qualified prospect, or if you're talking to an unqualified prospect, you're not talking to qualified prospects. And as a salesperson, you really need to protect your time, really focus on the qualified folks, because if you don't do that, you're just not going to be spending time on productive things.
Because life is so short. Do something that you love.
So this has been a bit of a whirlwind. We're about 10 minutes in, a little bit over. I'm gonna wrap things up. I would love to hear your feedback on these videos. I've been putting out more and more sales content. And I think the next one I'm gonna do is specifically on market conditions, because a lot of people are kind of a little bit nervous about way things are going and don't know why they should buy or why they shouldn't. I talked a bit about that in here, but as always, let me know how these things are going. Share your feedback. If you like this, comment, subscribe, hit the like button. And until next time, keep crushing.